and I'm feeling good. Oh, show me how you're feeling good. Let's clap those hands. Here we go. Woo! Woo! Yeah, feeling good. Here we go. Dragonfly in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. And I'm feeling good. So good. Let's stand. There we go. Now I'm with you. Stars when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dave, are you feeling good? Yes, yes,
yes.
Yeah, he's feeling good. Ooh, thank you for singing along. Are we feeling good? Woo! Take it away.
Yes, Heather, that was wonderful. Thank you for getting us in the mood. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Sonoran Center for Spiritual Living. I would just like to say Happy New Year to you all. This is my first time up here this year, so I hope it is a blessed and great year for everybody. My name is David Burke, if you don't know me, and I'm your trustee on duty today. On behalf of Reverend Donna, the Board of Trustees, and our fantastic practitioner team, I am privileged to welcome you to the Sonoran Desert Center for Spiritual Living. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are truly welcome here. Here you will be validated, supported, and encouraged to be all you are meant to be. Our vision statement is love in action every day in every way. We express this love by learning and living the principles of the science of mind. On the back of your program, you will find our Declaration of Principles. Please join me now in reading them. I believe there is an infinite intelligence operating throughout the universe. I believe this intelligent power is only good. I believe this intelligence expresses as me. I believe through my conscious use of this power, I create my life as happy, healthy, and complete. And so it is. Do we have any first-timers today? Oh, would you mind standing up and introducing yourself?
My niece, Jill, and she comes from Victor, New York, and she accompanied me out here for a week, carrying one of my furry family cats.
Oh. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Anyone else? We invite you to stay after and get to know some of us, enjoy the refreshments, and thank you for coming. I would like to thank all the people that made this Sunday celebration possible. First of all, it's all of you in the chairs. This center is phenomenal in my book, and it's because of all of you, so thank you. And then there's so many other people who help that do so much around here, and it is greatly appreciated. Please direct your attention to the announcements that are in your bulletin, and if you're watching online, please visit cslaz.org for the announcements and our event calendar.
The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you. And you and I are one. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. It is all for our greatest and highest good. The God in me beholds the God in you. And you and I are one. Namaste. Namaste.
Good morning. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces. So I'm going to light this candle, which is also shining. And we all know what that represents, right? The light within, the light that we shine brightly without. So our prayer table is open for prayer requests, and we encourage you to fill out a prayer card and let us pray. What is that? Make our day, ask me to pray. Yeah. So, for our invocation, now is the time of the new beginning. I begin with me. I am a living soul, and the Spirit of Source dwells in me, as me. I and Source are one, and all that the Source has is mine. In truth, I am the Christ of God. What is true of me is true of everyone. For God is all, and all is God. I see only the Spirit of God in every soul. And to every man, woman, and child on earth, I say, I love you, for you are me. You are my holy self. And in appreciation for this gathering, I'd like to thank Reverend Donna for her wonderful, inspiring messages, and Heather for her beautiful music, and of course our practitioners for their wonderful prayers, and for everyone for being here. And so it is. A new dawn a new life, a new day, a new life. There are moments in life when we are reminded that we are unfinished, that the story we have been telling ourselves about who we are and where our life leads is yet unwritten. Such moments come most readily at the beginning of something new. To begin anything, a new practice, a new project, a new love, is to cast upon yourself a spell against stagnation. Beginnings are notation for the symphony of the possible in us. They ask us to break the pattern of our lives and reconfigure it afresh, something that can only be done with great courage and great tenderness, for no territory of life exposes both our power and vulnerability more than a beginning. How to leap into the thrilling and terrifying unknowns of the possible is what the Irish poet and philosopher John O'Donoghue explores. He begins by telescoping into deep time, reminding us that we are but a small and new part of something ancient and immense. When we arrive into the world, we enter this ancient sequence. All our beginnings happen with this continuity. Beginnings often frighten us because they seem like lonely voyages into the unknown. Yet, in truth, no beginning is isolated or empty. We seem to think that beginning is setting out from a lonely point along some line of direction into the unknown. This is not the case. Shelter and energy come alive when a beginning is embraced. We are never as alone in our beginning as it might seem at the time. And beginning is ultimately an invitation to open towards the gifts and growth that are stored up for us. To refuse to begin can be an act of great self-neglect. Our very life depends directly on continuous acts of beginning. Even at this stage of life, we all face new beginnings. And yet, we are homeostasis machines, our very organism oriented towards maintaining the status quo of comfort and predictability, which every beginning inevitably disrupts with its fulcrum of change and its brunt of uncertainty. O'Donoghue considers what it takes to override our creaturely reflex for habituation. Sometimes the greatest challenge is actually to begin. There's something deep in us that conspires with what wants to remain within safe boundaries and stay the same. We should simply take the risk and leap into a new beginning. He renders the vulnerability and redemption of that leap in a poem, a kind of self-blessing to consecrate the courage of beginning. For a new beginning. In the out-of-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you are ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, filling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease and risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you. When the heart is ready for a fresh beginning, unforeseen things can emerge, And in a sense, this is exactly what a beginning does. It's an opening for surprises. Surrounding the intention and the act of beginning, there are always exciting possibilities. Paying attention to those portals of possibility is both an act of self-respect and a reverence of life. Part of the art of living wisely is to learn to recognize and attend to such profound openings in one's life. Namaste. Thank you. So I will hold the high watch and await your prayer requests.
This is a song that I don't get to do very often, but I sure do love it. It's a song by John Mayer. And I figured it was very apropos, since we're talking this month about new beginnings, new dawns, new days. Just in the past couple of weeks, I've had a ton of demonstrations myself, and it's incredible. There's been a lot of opening up and a lot of new opportunity. And this is a song for the people who might still be waiting. It's called "Waiting on the World to Change." Here we go now. Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. Say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything is going wrong with the world and those who lead. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's hard to beat the system when you're standing at a distance. So we keep waiting for the world to change. Yeah. Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, I would've never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on the doors. So when you trust the television, what you get is what you got. 'Cause when they own the information, yeah, they can vent it all they want. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. It's not that we don't care, it's but we know the fight ain't fair. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change, yeah. And we're still waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. One day our generation is gonna rule the population. So we keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. We keep waiting, waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Yeah. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change. Waiting on the world to change.
Yeah, we
we know what happens if we keep waiting on the world to change, right? So good morning. Or should I say grand rising? That's what we talked about last week. We started our theme, that this is a black idiom meaning good morning, but it's so much more than good morning. It carries with it the consciousness of love and joy and harmony that does create a new dawn, a new day, and a new life. And last week we talked about that new dawn that begins with setting intentions. And the two parts to setting intentions is first to release what's not serving us so that we create a fertile soil in which our intentions can grow. And then we realize that the intentions that we do set are not goals, but rather attributes of God that we want to incorporate in our consciousness so they will show up in our lives. So our intention should have one or more attributes like peace, love, harmony, joy, wholeness, abundance. And then we practice acceptance or non-resistance, knowing that right now we're exactly where we should be because this is where the universe is. And we talked about that what we resist persists. And I think that's so important because what we are resisting, we give power to. So we simply create more of the same by resisting what's going on. So acceptance of what's going on brings peace. It doesn't mean that we're accepting this for the rest of our lives, but it does mean we're accepting that right now this is where we are. And in that acceptance comes peace, and peace is the place where new beginnings begin. So, and finally, we learn to choose responsibly by creating a gap between what's happening and our response to it. So, because this gap is our place of power, because we're connected to the field of potentiality, and our choices then become spirit-driven. So when we use this formula as our grand rising, we can begin each day from that place of peace and joy, knowing that we are guided by a power greater than ourselves. And I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Martin Luther King today, because tomorrow we honor his birthday. And so this week I read his book. Well, I skimmed his book. I didn't read the whole thing. Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? And I found his ideas are so very closely related to what we are doing this month as we step into a new dawn, a new day, and a new life. In setting our intentions, we're releasing old ideas and presenting new ones more in line with the way we want to live in the world. And most of us have heard Dr. King's words, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. In his book, he continues this idea, and I want to read the whole quote. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The beauty of nonviolence is that in its own way and in its own time, it seeks to break the chain reaction of evil. With a majestic sense of spiritual power, it seeks to elevate truth, beauty, and goodness to the throne. Therefore, I will continue to follow this method because I think it is the most practically sound and morally excellent way for the Negro to achieve freedom. So if we take out the racial references, we have long proposed the elevation of truth, beauty, and goodness to the throne of human consciousness. In fact, that's what our teaching is all about. And a new dawn, a new day, and a new life is a clever way to link these ideas together. So I look at what we did last week. A new dawn is our entry point into this new day and this new life. It's the preparatory work that we do. And it might be a good idea to do it each day, to set our morning. Is there anything that I need to release? And what is the intention I want to set for this day? And to take a moment to open that gap so that we are driven by spirit. So a new day then becomes the actions we take after our spiritual preparation. Reverend Gail Fisher Stewart, author and interim rector at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Washington, D.C., writes, at the end of the Edmund Pettus Bridge is Selma, close to where the march from the Selma to Montgomery for voting rights began. And there is a park commemorating that march. One of the monuments is to Representative John Lewis. As a college student, Lewis was with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, and suggested the march as a way to press the politicians in Montgomery to ensure voting rights for all. And the quote from Representative Lewis that is on this monument says, "When we pray, our feet move." And what we say is we treat and move our feet. Like the work of John Lewis and so many others, a new day is about the action we take from that spiritual bedrock we have created from our intentions. In Martin Luther King's book, there's a wonderful chapter on the world house. He writes, some years ago, a famous novelist died, and among his papers was found a list of suggested plots for future stories, the most prominently underscored being this one. A widely separated family inherits a house in which they have to live together. This is the great new problem of mankind. We have inherited a large house, a great world house, in which we have to live together, black and white, Easterner and Westerner, Gentile and Jew, Catholic and Protestant, Muslim and Hindu, a family unduly separated in ideas, culture, and interests, who, because we can never again live apart, must learn somehow to live with each other in peace. You know, one of the things that I have loved about our centers is that we are open to differences. We're inclusive in our thinking and our actions, and it's been that way since the inception of our movement. Ernest Holmes once said, "Only people with petty minds indulge in racial hatreds and distinctions. God's perfect idea of each of us is the basis for every living soul, and we must believe this and act as though it were so. When we dislike people and groups, we are bearing witness to our small and limited viewpoints. The people in whom we fail to find good are born of the same mind, operate under the same law, and express the same life as we do. Our inability to see their divine origin is our self-created stumbling block. Often, we are held back by our petty dislikes of other people." You know, when a Science of Mind magazine editor in 1945, catch the date, listed the Third Church of Religious Science at the bottom with a designation of colored, Ernest Holmes intervened, and he made sure the error was corrected and would never be made again. Holmes made a point to speak at that center, notably saying, "I have been told that too many non-Caucasians attend these lectures. True, there are Caucasians and non-Caucasians in this congregation, but this we must affirm. We are all children of one living God, one God that permeates all without exception, one intelligence that governs all, and most important, every man and woman who abides in the universe is a significant entity in the one universal consciousness. Our doors will be forever open to all. Whoever you are, be proud. You are a divine idea in the mind of God." Dr. Holmes also maintained a close relationship with a black female minister, Pearl C. Wood, and she was known as Mother Pearl of the Triangular Church in Los Angeles. I knew this church, and I knew the ministers there. And this center remains predominantly black, and in a ceremony presenting the center's charter, Holmes said to the congregation about Reverend Pearl, "If she's your mother, then I'm your father." And I want to tell you another story because it's going to die with me. I don't think anybody's ever heard it or it's ever been written anywhere, but I think it's a wonderful story that Dr. George Bendall told me. He was, at the time, he was assistant minister at Founders way back. And a black woman named Mabel, and I've forgotten her last name, was very influential in integrating the church. She wanted to be sure not just in the seats, but as ushers and hostesses, as practitioners, training, all of that was integrated. And so George was working with her. And he went to visit her, and on his way back to his car, he realized he was being followed by some rather sinister-looking black men. And all at once, another man rounded the corner and said, "Stay away from him. He's one of Mabel's boys." And the men began to smile and shake hands and thanked him for the work he was doing for integration. So I am proud that from the very beginning, we have honored women, men and women of color, gays and lesbians, not only into our centers, but into our leadership. To the best of our ability, we have opened the doors and warmly expressed our love and hospitality into our part of the world house. Martin Luther King writes, "This call for a worldwide fellowship that lifts neighborly concern beyond one's tribe, race, class, and nation is in reality a call for an all-embracing and unconditional love for all. This often misunderstood and misinterpreted concept has now become an absolute necessity for our survival." He says, "When I speak of love, I'm speaking of that force which all the great religions have seen as a supreme unifying principle of life. Love is the key that unlocks the door which leads to ultimate reality." This Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist belief about ultimate reality is beautifully summed up in the first epistle of St. John. "Let us love one another, for love is of God. And everyone that loveth is born of God and knoweth God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. If we love one another, God dwelleth in us, and his love is perfected in us." You know, today I feel the tensions in the political arena. There are families that can't sit down to dinner together. I feel the heartbreak from the wars, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. And it seems hard to think of a world house where we can all live together in harmony and unity and peace. But it is an intention, one that we should all set and embrace. And our intentions have power. It's a call to action for each of us to be sure that our corner of the house is in order and that it exudes love and excludes hostility and contempt. We don't have to like or accept the actions of others, but we must accept that each and every individual is an expression of God, no matter how misguided we think their ideas might be. And that's the only way that our world house will work. There are two more quotes of Dr. King that I want to share. He says, like life, racial understanding is not something that we find, but something that we must create. What we find when we enter these mortal planes is existence. But existence is the raw material out of which all life must be created. A productive and happy life is not something that you find, it is something that you make. And so the ability of Negroes and whites to work together, to understand each other, will not be found ready-made. It must be created. And again, if we take out the reference to race, we have a basic tenet that we all do live by. Life is what we create out of the raw material of our existence. Every choice we make, every action we take, creates the life that we're living right now and the life we're going to be living tomorrow. What a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift. But without understanding the preciousness of it, without being consciously aware that we are always creating our experiences out of the raw material of thoughts, ideas, and beliefs, we may find that the life we are creating is not the life we want to be living. Dr. Holmes tells us each day is a new creation, a new moment for a fuller awareness of spiritual reality, and a time for designing the new life we want to live. So are you and I participating in designing that life? Are we taking responsibility for our thoughts that become our experiences? And the final quote I want to present from Dr. King: "The universe is so structured that things go awry if men and women are not diligent in their cultivation of the other regarding dimension. I cannot reach fulfillment without thou. The self cannot be the self without other selves. Self-concern without other concern is like a tributary that has no outward flow to the ocean, stagnant, still, and stale. It lacks both life and freshness." So the relationship that is less than loving is an opportunity for our unhealed places to surface. And our blocks to love are brought into our consciousness awareness so that they can be healed. That's what it's for. And often just the awareness of it is the healing. In a prior marriage, my husband's ex-wife became one of my closest friends. It didn't start out that way. But we had family. They had kids that they wanted to share Christmas and Thanksgiving together. So we had to change. She was bitter about me, and I was fearful about her, but we were both on spiritual paths. And one day she came to me and said, "I don't want to continue like this." And I said, "Neither do I." And at that point, we began to drop our defenses, and we saw each other in love. We even started our own company. And when clients saw that we had the same last name, they would ask if we were sisters. And we would smile and say, "No, we're related by marriage." You know, we both grew in that friendship. She was a staunch member of AA and had a myriad of women that she counseled. And I learned the meaning of compassion and deep love by watching her with these women. And she was very fearful about life in general, while I was more of the adventurer. So through me, she saw life as a more friendly place. While we were seeing each other as rivals, we were in an I-it relationship. When we came together in a deeper understanding from that namaste consciousness, we created an I-thou relationship that lasted until her death. We are in this together, guys. As Chief Seattle said, we are all strands of the web, and what do we do to the web? We do to each other, and we do to ourselves. If our world house is going to survive, we have to see ourselves and every person as divine and precious. Philosopher Martin Buber, who coined the term I-thou relationship, says, when two people relate to each other authentically and humanly, God is the electricity that surges between them. We feel this electricity when we enter these doors. But do we feel it at the grocery store, the mall, the restaurant, the family dinner? And if we don't, can we stop for a moment to call forth our own true self so that we can feel that electrical charge that brings the change we want to see? Ernest Holmes says, where God is recognized, there is life. Where the power of God is realized, there is action. Where the goodness of God is acknowledged, there is peace. This should be the plaque that hangs on the entry wall of our world house. These should be the words that our heart embraces. And these words should begin our grand rising in the morning as we consciously create a brand new day. Thank you. Namaste.
I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. When I start my day with love, that's what I get more of, is love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. I start my day with peace. When I start my day with peace, I feel that sweet release of peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace, peace. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. I start my day with joy. When I start my day with joy, everything I do is infused with joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Joy, joy, joy. Ah, yeah, that's so lovely. Thank you for singing along.
Thank you. Okay. So it's time for our offering. Chance to put that divine law of circulation in process. Thank you for your patience with me for talking about Dr. King. You know, the month of February is Black History Month, but we're going to be in our campaign mode, our pledge campaign mode, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to touch on it. So I wanted to give tribute to Dr. King and what he's done. I mean, in reading that book, I didn't really realize it, but he was so opposed to the war in Vietnam that he broke an incredible relationship that he had with President Johnson, because he kept what he believed to be right and true in his heart. He kept forward. So I just feel like what a man to be able to look at and live up to in this time when sometimes it feels pretty chaotic. So thank you for that. Okay, let's please join me in our offering affirmation. My gift goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless all that it touches. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I share generously of my good, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you so very much for your generosity, and it keeps us in business here and as a beneficial presence in our community. So let's close out in prayer, and please join us for refreshments, chance to get to know everybody a little bit better. I know that there is one divine power and presence, and this power and presence is the truth of who we are, as we are expressions of that one. So as we express each day by setting our intentions, by opening a gap to let Spirit direct us, we do create a new day, a new dawn, and a new life. I give thanks for the opportunity to be here today, and I speak my word for anyone experiencing any kind of a challenge, to know that God is at the heart of that, and there is a healing. I just simply am grateful this morning for the people that have come before us, who have created the beginning of a world house in our own movement, and that we can continue that and be the creators, be the change that we want to see in the world. So I simply just release all of these words into that divine mind to do its perfect work as we say together, and so it is. Thank you. May we stand and sing Stand.